Since the last video, I decided to hire professionals to install the mounting brackets for a new pair of solar panels that I purchased. Originally, I thought I was going to document that, but if you are installing solar panels on your home, you should probably consult with an expert if you're not familiar with it, because you're drilling holes through your roof, and I don't want to be responsible if you get the hole in the wrong place or you don't watertight it something proper and suddenly your whole roof's insulation is full of mold. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise to you guys, the viewers. We're going to keep focused on the electronics component. So that said, the second MPPT is now configured and connected, and I haven't been able to play with it very much because the battery's pretty much full, so there's not a lot of charging. I need to drain it. But to drain it, I want to put it into its final place. To put it into its final place, I have a new project, and that's what today's video is going to be about. A very helpful viewer sent a couple of wiring configurations. Mr. Grant in Utah. I asked if there was anything else I could link to, and he said, just call me Grant in Utah. So thanks, Grant in Utah. They are a couple of novel configurations for the batteries and the battery hookups that would allow me to get rid of that long red wire, the positive wire that runs from the main battery positive that's currently at the very back of the stick. One of them leaves the positive and the negative on the two frontmost batteries onto one side. The other configuration he suggested had the negative of the second forward battery and the positive of the very forward battery as the main battery plus and negatives. These configurations weren't possible when we were restricted to the size of the bus bars. But now that we're making our own cables as flexible bus bars, this suddenly becomes possible. And if you recall in the last video, one of the things I was worried about was the springiness of those short loops. The configuration he has have much longer and more gentle bends, so they're not going to put that pushing pressure on it. Separately, in the last video, a lot of great comments came, and one of the comments that came up repeatedly was grease from your fingers or from other debris getting onto the terminals and becoming a source of resistance, and to use rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, on the terminals and on the cable connections, the ring terminals, to make sure that they're free of oils when mating them together. Makes sense. I don't know if it'll make a difference. I mean, I trust if multiple people say something that there's probably something to it, but wiping off the terminals with rubbing alcohol before putting the bolts in seems like an incredibly simple thing to do. So even if it doesn't help, it's not exactly expensive time-wise to do, so I'm going to try that as well. The way Grant has this designed, again, I'll overlay that so you can actually see it. In the current design, the batteries were simple sequential, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 16. But with here, what he has it doing is 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, skip 5, skip 6, skip 7, skip 8, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I believe is how it is. And the polarities change as well. So I have to completely remove all of these cells and repack this battery and then make sure I get the BMS configuration proper as well. So, get that out. I'm going to have to completely rework this. Oy! This is going to be fun. Okay, so I think I've got this mostly figured out. Basically, we're going to have positive, 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 and so on. And we're going to go battery 1, battery 16, 2, 15, 3, 14. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to actually do this now. So, should I start at the back? But then I'd have to know what the last number is going to be, and I don't feel like doing that kind of math right now. So, positive out, so that's being rotated. And get this, where's the phone? There it is. Okay, so battery 1, oh, I should be wearing my glasses. If you ever started your own business, I hope you're as lucky to have the kind of employees that I have. All right, so that is battery 1 positive. Now we do battery 16 positive. Now, Grant provided 2 configurations. One configuration had battery positive and battery negative on the same side, one after the other. The nice thing about it was all of the wires were in a very aesthetically pleasing format. That makes me a little bit nervous. I like the idea of being main battery negative, main battery positive, or main battery negative, main battery positive, depending on how I actually cable it up, set off at an angle to each other. So of the 2 designs that Grant sent, I'm following the first one. This is 2 negative, 15 negative, and I don't even have this clear in my head yet. I'm figuring this out as I go. So it's entirely possible I'm going to do all of this and realize I screwed it up and have to do it again, but that's half the fun. And also exercise. So 1, 16, 2, 15, plus, 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 plus. So now I want 3 and 14. 3, positive, 3 positive, 14 positive. Now I want 4 negative, 13 negative. So now I want 5 plus and 12 plus. Now I want 6 negative, 11 negative. Now I want 7 and 10 positive, 7 and 10 positive, 8 and 11 negative. There's 8 and 9, 10, 11. Right, that makes sense. 10 and 9. Okay. Oh, and my fingers are not fitting. Okay, this is going to get dropped a little bit. Ah, there we go. I'm pretty sure that I've got the layout proper. Now the question becomes the jumper length. I am absolutely certain I made an art. These are not going to be long enough. Yeah, not even close. Okay, so all of those cables that I made are nothing more than art now. So now what I need to do is figure out how long my cables need to be and make 15 of them. All right. He has this as the main positive and this is the main negative. I like that, I can live with that. So I'm going to follow this exactly. So what he has is 1 negative going to 2 positive, which makes sense. So negative to positive, 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 negative. 8 goes to 9. So negative to positive, negative to positive. Okay, so it's going to do like an X pattern at the back and then move its way back down again. Okay, this is going to make, right now I'm really struggling to keep my head around this, but I know this is going to make a lot of sense once I actually see it done out. When I got Grant's email, as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, I didn't get it in the details, but I got it in the theory, and I really like it. So even as I assemble this, if I seem very confused, it's because I haven't quite wrapped my head around the electron flow. But the concept makes sense. So let's keep going. How long, if I did that to here with a bit of spring, let's say we cut it right about there. Where is, okay, well, you know what? Let's just do this. Oh, fuck's sakes. Wait, no, was that right? Oh, brain. Brain! Yes, that looks good. Let me bring you in so you can see what I'm talking about. So the idea is that we'll go negative, so this is battery 1, battery 2. Negative to positive. And then from battery 2 to 3, negative to positive. This is where it's going to be a little bit different, but 8 to 9, negative to positive. I'll make that one probably a little bit shorter. And then 9 to 10 is going to go negative to positive. And then we're back to doing the same sequence back. I wonder if one of the short ones can make that jump. Yes, it can. All right, cool. So this one here will be the odd jumper out. These are the ones I made last time. I'm going to make probably 6 more batteries. That's another discussion. I don't think this is going to end up being one of the drive batteries because I'm going to go to bigger batteries. But anyways, blah. I'm going to need 6 more of these. So at least some of the ones I made will still be useful. So now what I need to do is I need to make 15 of these. I need 15? Yes, 15 jumpers, minus 1 because this will work, plus 1 for a spare. I'm going to make 15 of these. All right, let's move this back out of the way. There we go. No idea what I'll eventually use this for, but I'm sure it'll come up at some point. Ah, no! I almost spilled the precious liquid. I mean, it's almost empty to be fair, but still. Can't be spilled if it's already in your belly. Right. Let's make some cables. You saw this in the last video. I'm not going to make you watch this again. So I have now the long bus bars plus the one short one that's going to be the jumper. So I'm going to put my safety glasses back on and let's start wiring this back up again. I should mention this time you'll notice that they're all shrink wrapped. So I can't find my isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, but I do have some nail polish remover, which is acetone, which should do a really good job at cleaning up any kind of grease or any other kind of sticky detritus that might be stuck on this. Now, let's see what Mr. Grant's picture looked like to make sure I'm not about to make a mistake. Okay, so main battery positive, main battery negative. So, finish wiping this off. Oh, huh. After wiping the, can you see that? Hopefully it's blown out. Ow, balls! Oh, shit. Ah! Well, I just spilt all of this everywhere. Excuse me one moment while I mildly cuss and hope that acetone doesn't destroy whatever. These are, oh my God, I'm just dropping them in. Okay. These are marine grade cables. They are supposed to be good against oils and chemicals. So this just suddenly turned into a test of how good are Anchor batteries when exposed to copious amounts of acetone. Because I am a dumbass. This time on How Does the Digital Mermaid Fuck Up? One of the things that scared me about starting a YouTube channel was hearing how many people would be like, "You're too much of a dumbass, you're too clumsy, you can't do these things, don't do this." And I feared they might be right. I'm going to do it anyway, but I feared. Well, you know what? I actually don't even care that this happened because let's see what happens. I mean, science or something. Okay, where were we? Right. So this is battery 2 positive. This is the crud that came off. And as various of you said, this could be impacting the resistance of the cables and causing increased heat. Now I'm going to do battery 2 negative to battery 3 positive. Okay, so maybe I made them too long. Well, no, if I do that, that should be okay. Press them side by side. The white print on the side of the anchor wires is shot. Okay. And onwards I go. Wait. Ah! I screwed up. This is one of the examples of where putting the numbers on the batteries just saved me. Because I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't look right. I went from 1 to 2, and then I went from 16 to 15, which was obviously not right. There we go. That's better. So now I'm going 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Wow, this is harsh on my hands. My dainty little hands. I say very sarcastically, my hands are scuffy and nasty, but that's okay. The hands of a worker. 6 to 7, 7 to 8, oh, this is the short one. Okay, so now I'm doing 8 to 9, 8 negative to 9 positive. Using one of my previous jumpers. Now I'm going to go, and this is where I'm going to start jumping over other cables. I should have enough slack to do this. Oh! I forgot to put shrink tubing on this one. One moment, please. We'll be right back after these messages.
Uh-oh. He's got an aching head, an upset stomach, and an empty gun.
What you need is some Alka-Seltzer.
See how it goes flat across? That flat piece is impinging on the top of the battery. I was trying to pull the heat shrinking forward to make sure that I protected as much of the end as I could. But I went a bit too far. So what I'm doing is, I'm cutting a sliver off to round it out so that the bottom of the ring terminal sits flat against the terminal. And I'm trying to do it in such a way that I don't bleed. I should mention, so these jumpers are about 6 inches, 6¼ inches, or about 16 centimeters long. Oh, the chances of the Digital Mermaid bleeding by the end of this episode are significantly greater than 0. All right, 9 to 10. Yeah, this is a bit odd with the jumping over the cables. But I think there's enough slack in there that it's going to be okay. All right, so that was 9 negative to 10 positive. Now I'm going to go 10 negative to 11 positive. All right, so now we're going 11 negative to 12 positive. All right, we're going to go 12 negative to 13 positive. A13 negative to A14 positive. Wait, yeah, to A14 positive. Grant, I wish I knew how you figured this out, because it's both simultaneously obvious and confusing. A14 negative, pop that off. A14 negative to A15 positive. This is A15 negative to A16 positive. And this is the last one. And there's my spare. So let's grab the multimeter and verify that we're reading 50-something volts. If I did this right, this bottom, so battery 1 positive should be main pack positive. This is A16 negative. We should have 54 volts. Okay, so it's cabled properly. So now the next step is to run all of our balance leads. I better put my glasses back on or someone's gonna get mad at me. Oh, we gotta set up the BMS. Right, so one of the major benefits of this is the fact that this long cable can suddenly be a lot shorter because it only has to go to here now. This is how much wire we're removing from the battery, and that's what all of this was about. May not seem like much, but again, look at the thermal camera from the last video. That's where the heat was. This might seem like a lot of effort for a relatively small change, but remember, this is about coming up with a design for the main boat's battery bank. So even though it might seem a little excessive and overkill for this battery to be worrying about 1 meter, it's worth it because it helps me figure out what's the best long-term design. There we go, that'll work. So one of the things I want to do when I rebuild the battery box, when I move this downstairs, is to get rid of this space. I want to close this up and put this wall right up against here. That means that the BMS is going to have to come up top. It also means that I need to make sure that all of the cabling stays forward of the battery pack. I might make this a slight bit longer, and I think this is already tall enough. If I put a platform over, I can put the BMS on top of it and just make an access hatch for these. So that's why it might seem a little strange right now that I've done things like this weird loop on the positive terminal. That's what I'm thinking about. So now let's deal with our BMS cables. This is main battery negative. So clean this off. For good measure, clean the bottom of the nut. So I've had a few commenters suggest, oh, you should be using this micro ohm meter or that fancy tool. I want to remind people the purpose of this channel. This isn't meant to be a testing channel. That's what Andy and Will Prowse and Lithium Solar, they're very good at those types of things. The whole purpose of this channel is to see if a regular person using regular tools with regular equipment could build a pretty cool project. So you're right, absolutely. It would be wonderful if I had all of these really amazing tools when I'm doing my testing. I'm not going to say for a second that you're wrong. You're not wrong. It would be wonderful if I did that. But unless someone like Teledyne wants to sponsor this channel, that's not happening. And even if they offered, which to be clear, they won't, it's not the purpose of this channel. This channel is about, can a regular person follow what they see on the internet? That's it. That's all this is. So I will do my best with things like the FLIR cameras and with my multimeters and whatnot, but I'm intentionally not going to buy anything really fancy. It doesn't seem to be in the spirit, you know? Interesting. I just realized I completely reversed this from how it was before. Battery 1 used to be main negative. Now battery 1 is main positive. Battery 16 used to be main positive. Now it's main negative. So I've got to be very careful when I reapply these BMS terminals to follow this properly. But again, that's where the wonderful labels come in. The labels help us remember where what goes what. So this is between battery 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So do I put it on the negative or the positive? Let's do the negative. Why? Absolutely no solid reason except, well, I had to make a choice. Oh, I should mention, I saw Lithium Solar using the heat shrink tubing over a tool, and I'm sure he's been doing it a lot longer than I have, but when I saw that, it was very validating that I had a not entirely insane approach to safing my tools. really cannot stress the value of labeling when it comes to avoiding mistakes. So now let's get the BMS leads and do our usual count. See if I can do this and keep this in view for you guys. What? Well, that's not a good sign. I've got 50 volts across the first two. What? I have screwed something up. Main battery negative, main battery positive. Main battery negative, and this first wire wow, I have completely cocked this up. Right, because I reversed everything. Balls. The numbers were accurate. The battery connector 1, 2 was assuming that this was negative. Oh, I have to do everything backwards. Bun of a sitch. I need to completely rethink this. I have got this completely wrong. Okay, I'm going to pull this apart and turn off the camera. What I'm doing is I completely stripped the battery back and I thought about how the battery was laid out with the rigid bus bars initially, because that's what the balance leads are cabled for. And with that in mind, battery 1 negative is main pack negative. So I'm going 1 positive to 2 negative, 2 positive to 3 negative, 3 positive to 4 negative, 13 negative, 13 positive to 14 negative. So now I'm going 14 positive to 15 negative. My problem is I was letting myself get confused by the new physical layout and I stopped thinking about the logical layout. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stayed focused on the logical layout. So the last one now is 15 positive to 16 negative. With all of this in place, now I can start doing my BMS. And this time it matches as I labeled them back for the solid bus bars. So the only thing I've really changed from what Grant suggested was he had listed battery 1 as main pack positive, battery 16 as main pack negative, which was the exact reverse of what I had. So I just copied his design but flipped it again. Balance lead negative. This one is balance cable 1 between bank 1 and 2. If that's main pack negative, and this goes between 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Yeah, okay, I can still do 2 negative. Okay, so I'm going to put these on the negative side. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Tatters. I booped you in the face. Oh, want to say hello, Mr. Tatters? Have a kitty interlude. Sorry I booped you in the face. I didn't see you there. Okay, I'm going to put you back down now. Yep, 3 negative. So what I'm doing here is I had this cable arcing out and that brought it too close to this terminal, which is coming over, and it put too much of a torque on it like this. So I'm going to take this and turn it so that it arcs the other way, puts it closer to the center of this line, or of this wire. All right, there's 10. So that's the first BMS cable. Now before I do the rest, let's actually hook up the voltmeter and see if I'm on the right path or if I'm stopping for the night. We have 3 volts, 6, 10, 13, 16, 8, 22, 20.2, 23, 6, 27 even, 30.4, 33.8. Okay, so the first set of balance leads are reading properly, so the idea of switching back to the old configuration of where the main pack negative and positive was the right solution. So let's get the other ones done, and then we'll clean up these cables and finally get this back reassembled and get it back online. Something felt hot. 14 to 4. Yeah, I think I just shorted 10 batteries through my palm of my hand. That felt fun. Pack reassembled. Let's pick up where we left off with the balance lead testing. Okay, so we're doing all the balance leads again. So 3, 6, 43, 47, 50, 54. Okay, balance leads are done. Clean up these cables and then let's power the pack back on. Hey, buddy. Want to come say hi to YouTube? You're just staying outside of camera view. This is Mr. Kepler. He is exceedingly shy. Yeah, you have no problem admitting that, do you? I can't pick him up. He won't sit on my lap. But just the same, he's an adorable little fluff. Say hi, YouTube. Say hi, YouTubes. Okay, I don't think YouTube wants to see kitty butt. All right, back to it. This is why I love these Velcro straps so much. Zip ties are faster to install, absolutely admittedly. But when you cinch them up too much, the edge of the plastic can actually dig into the insulation on the wire. These ones, you just can't do that. No matter how much you pull them, they'll break before they'll damage the wire. But I love how easy it is to undress and redress wires as needs change. So the BMS is now plugged in. The cabling is all done. Let's do another check just because we can never have too many. We have main battery negative, main battery positive. 54 volts, nothing. So let's turn on the main battery, 54 volts. Turn off the soft off, and she's dead. Turn it back on, and it's alive. Okay, there we go. Thanks to Grant's kind design that he shared with me, the long battery positive has been dramatically shortened. So now, with this new design, main battery negative right at the dead front, main battery positive just behind it. I don't like how this is all folded up, but I'm going to redesign this box very shortly. This was mostly just to see if I could understand Grant's design and if it would work. I mean, I'm sure it would, and it did. That's why I took the time to do this. But with these longer flexible bus bars as well, they're not putting the outward torque pushing the pack apart last time. I'm very happy with this. This is a much better design. So, Grant from Utah, thanks for making me waste all of my brand new short jumper cables by giving me a better idea. Seriously though, thank you. That was awesome. Taking this much wire out of the battery means a lot. It means that I can balance the length of the wires going to the positive and the negative terminals, meaning that the length of the wire from either positive and negative end of the Anderson connector inside the battery can be exactly the same. So when I make the wires going from the other end of the Anderson connector out to the bus bars, they'll also be equal. You saw in the last video how this cable heated up more than anything else. So Grant from Utah, again, thank you very much. It was a lot of work, but I think it was well worth it. I love the new design. I'm the Digital Mermaid. See you next time.